walkthrough of how I made my track called How You Feel. It's out on Deep Town Records right now. I've had a good response from it. Really happy with it. Massive thanks to Danny who put it out for me. The story goes, I was making a track. I was in the studio with one of my best mates making a track, and we were looking for a vocal. And I came across this one, which I'm about to show you. And it didn't fit the track that we were doing at the time. We'd done what we needed to do. He went away. About an hour later, I knew this vocal was on my mind, and I knew I wanted to do something with it. So I literally had it on loop for like 10 minutes, thinking, what am I going to do with this? And this is what I had. So very glitchy, very interesting. I then decided that I knew I wanted pianos. So I pulled up the M1, which is probably my favourite piano, to be honest, the M1 house piano, and just come up with some chords like this. I knew I wanted that sort of chord, so I just knew I needed something else with it. I knew I needed the chord to change, so I ended up doing this. Obviously, because how glitchy the vocal is, it needed to be a bit quicker, so I ended up with this. Recorded that in basically, and came up with this one. As you can probably see, there's a few more chords added there. I've drawn them in because, like I say, I'm not a Fats Domino, I'm not Ray Charles, I'm not brilliant on piano, but I added those, drawn them in, and we get a lot more body from it. Then I was trying to decide what kind of kick drum I wanted. What I did, just to cover what I wanted it to sound at the time, I wanted just to put any basic kick drum in there at the time. Now, Fruity 20 has a basic 808 kick. Sounds like this. That was perfect for what I was doing, and the more I listened to it, the more I liked it. So if I loop this part here, let's just take out the effects, so you know how I was listening to it from a standpoint. This is what I had. Oops, let's put the song on. So, as you can probably hear, a lot of side chain on the vocal, a lot of side chain on the piano. What I did with the kick then, to process the kick a little bit more, is added Fab Filter Q, shaved off some of the bottom end at around about 54 Hertz, lifted it slightly there, took out some of the nasty resonance that you normally get around about this mark, and lifted some of the top end just so I can have it punching through just a little bit more. Slight bit of compression as well, using SSL compressor. And another little trick I did as well, just to make it sound a little deeper, if I go to the piano roll, normally it's on C, I took it down a couple of octaves just to give it a deeper sound. So you end up with that. The bass sound was pretty easy to do because I knew I had the bass keys in my piano. So I wanted that bass to follow the bass keys. So what I did with the bass, I came up with the bass using Poly 6, again from Korg, and I used it as a top bass. So if I get that up, you can see that I've shaved off around about 140 hertz, just so that I could balance the bottom end out. So then now you've got like a bass sound. So I swap that over. Now it's completely balanced, and if I was to get that all together now, if I can find the bass, it sounds great with the kick. Right, I knew I needed an arpeggiator. I wanted some sort of arp in it, so I pulled up Arp Odyssey again from Korg. Where are we? Yeah. Now the straight sound in Arp Odyssey, you can play any key and it'll give you an arpeggiated sound. I used key C and I came up with this. Didn't think that arp sat properly with what I was doing, so I obviously changed it and sort of went like this. And ended up with this, which works absolutely perfect with the track itself. The pads I spent a lot of time trying to find. Ended up going to Poly6 and finding some pads that I've never really heard before. They're like reverse pads, and here they go. Basically the same chords as the piano, so the rest of the drums, I've got a clap which I've shaved a lot of the bottom end off and put some reverb on. I've layered that clap with one that's not really got anything to it at all, just to give it some extra body. Being as I was going through the 808 sort of sound, I used a closed hat, which is quite simple. Tiny bit of swing, tiniest bit of swing on that. Some bottom end shaved off and a bit of reverb. The hi-hat, no hat. Had to work with this, so again, bottom end shaved off. I always wanted to keep some room for everything else to breathe, so that's what I used for that. And then obviously the snare was the 808 snare, which I absolutely adore. So it's just a little couple of licks there, which you'll notice particularly in this part when I play this. Right, I wanted the breakdown quite cool and deep, and that's how we end up. But when I've got that breakdown, I also want a decent build up and a decent drop. So what I did here, if you've heard the track before, you'll notice it filters up and then drops into that break. I'll show the example now. The easy way I've created that is simply by putting a filter on the master bus and automated it to lift up and then drop, because that's, as a DJ, I know that's what we do a lot of the time. This part, I've just simply took the vocal and done a couple of like chops with it and done a little snare fill here. The effects on the vocal, I've used JHB vocals, which is absolutely amazing, from Waves. Obviously took some bottom end out as well and just give it a little bit of boost in the middle. Obviously used the filter, a bit of reverb, and used the limiter on it as well, just to give it some side chain. And then I've used H delay as well to give it a little bit of atmosphere as well. And that is about it. that is so I count my track. How you feel? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.